Hello everybody and welcome to Mothlight TV for this special presentation of a 10-ball grudge match between myself, Mike Holt, and Michael Fernandez, who you may know as the awesome San Diego pool player. That's $200 I'm putting into that light shade, and it is Michael who's with me now breaking the balls.
Hello Mike, thanks for having me on the stream today.
Oh, it's great to have you here, and as you folks may have gathered, this is not a live commentary track, so we're kind of going to do a post-match analysis between the two competitors, and Mike's come up dry on that break, and I've got a thin one with the bridge, which I think I've got to play this with like almost drag and a bit of outside to get the cue ball to travel more to the left to keep me with a nice angle on that too, because I think it's a combo 3 to the 4, and that's really as far as I'm looking right now.
Yeah, no matter what you have going on, you know the cue ball's kind of got to get away, so you want to control it as much as possible, which you did excellently, especially with the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bit tricky. But anytime you play super slow, there's a big risk of deceleration, and that's something I'm really working on. And it's a constant issue.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's just me. I think it affects a lot of players when you're basically not letting your stroke out. Right?
Especially when it comes to nerves or pressure, and considering it was the first shot of the match, I think you played that very well.
Yeah, that's one thing. I think I've got maybe a slight advantage over the normal, I was going to say the average pool player. But over the normal pool player, in that I've played a lot of snooker in the past, so I was always using we call it the rest, but the bridge. So it's not something I'm afraid of at all, and I'm quite happy to play shots with spin and drag and draw and so on.
Now, did you have any kind of thoughts coming into this match, considering that, like, you know, we've gone up against each other multiple times?
Yeah, I'll be totally honest for the viewers that I'd done a couple of these before. Did one first of all. There was a bit of trash talk between myself and Jesse Sturm, so we ended up doing one of these. And then Wayne Crow, he was commentating. We were on the same 8-ball team, and so after the game, we had a little bit of a call out, and we ended up playing. And then when we spoke about this, you may recall, I was a bit reluctant to play for the 200 in the middle. I was like, oh, let's do it. And then I realized the reason for that was because I was a bit scared. Because there's no doubt about it, Mike. You know, the Fargo's tells the story. You're nearly a 600 there. You've obviously got a great approach to the game. You've got the expertise, the experience, and you've got a lot of practice having a table at home and all those sorts of things. So I was wary. But, you know, I thought in the end, that's no way to approach a game. Let's go for it. Let's back yourself. And that's what I did.
No, I think that's the best way to approach it, right? Because every new game or every new set you play is going to be a challenge, not just for, you know, against an opponent, but for yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to take on a few more of these sorts of things. And
that's great.
I played Gus yesterday, just a quick friendly set for $20. I actually won the first one. And so I offered him a rematch, and he got me back in the second. But it was good. It was good match play. Now, I totally did the deceleration. I don't know if you noticed. So I was going to play for that 8 in the right side pocket. And, you know, I'm going for it all the way. Because, I mean, a lot of players might play the bank here. But I quite fancy this. Coming down 3 rails.
Pretty natural coming out of this bottom side of the table.
All you've got to do is make it. And I it looked around the pocket before it fell down. Gone a bit past ideal, but still, this is a natural to get back on the 10.
And just to remind the viewers, this is off of the dry break that I made, so you're still on a table run at this point.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to stay calm. I mean, I had in my mind actually something that you said in your podcast to Sue, and that is, you know, you do get excited the more balls that you make, and you just got to try and forget all of that. And if anything, try to express gratitude that, I'm thankful to have this opportunity. I'm grateful it's going well so far. And I want to continue and push on and finish the job. And that's been a big issue. And I think that's a lot of developing players will find the same thing.
Yeah.
As you start getting towards the boundaries of where you normally would miss, you're going to get more and more tense and excited, and you know, there's a chance that you'll miss something that you shouldn't.
Correct. You want to make it count, and I think that's an important phrase to kind of repeat to yourself as you're playing. Is, you know, you've made a good run up to this point. There's no reason why you don't deserve the second half of the rack as well, which you get on a table run. Congrats on a good first run, and I will comment and say that as the incoming player with the break, and knowing that this is a winner break format as well too, so having your opponent come out that strong on the first break, like I didn't get to shoot and you're already up 1-0. So
yeah, it was the ideal start. In some ways, you've got to be careful you don't start too good, because then the only way is down, right? But that's the wrong attitude, and there I've made a ball off the break. I've got a thin shot at the 1, and it's kind of going to be pretty safe. I've got good separation, and maybe even give me a long shot on the 2 if I can make this. But
the 5 looks a little big here, if anything, but if you put a little bit of inside, you should be fine.
I think I just go center ball, above center, and I catch it too thin. And yeah, it's okay. I mean, if you're going to miss that shot, missing it thin is the way to do it, right? You tend to get it safe rather than leaving it up.
This is the first look at me at the table outside of just the break, and you know, coming in and not having really the most open shot, I think a lot of your headspace has to be, well, what can I do that's non-offensive that'll kind of get the momentum back on my side? So playing good defense or playing a smart high percentage shot here. So
yeah, you've got to try to get the advantage, and not easy from there, because you were pretty tough. And this has left quite a straightforward safe for me here. I think I'm going to try and get under the 8. So the only risk is scratching in this bottom left corner, or potentially bumping into the 10 if I put too much English on it. So it's a question of trying to pick that line between the 8 and the 10, try and come round maybe 2 or 3 rails to get under the 8, leaving the 1 back in somewhere near that 3 ball if I can. I don't want it over the hole in case I don't get the snooker.
Yeah, just not selling out shots is important in matchups like these, right? We're fairly, similar, in almost in expertise and Fargo rating. So at the end of the day, you just don't want to leave an open shot for your opponent.
Especially early in the match.
Correct.
I've been able to get that table run. I've got you cold. I know that you're going to be a little bit jittery until you settle down on the rack.
Exactly.
So if I can stop you from getting anything easy, it's the longer that goes on, the better it is.
And that feeling of not getting settled in, like it's almost more emphasized with like, oh, that roll, the 1 took a roll off the hook, and then
you notice things like that.
It's like, oh, I can't believe it, like like why did that happen? And now you're back again with an open table, and you had a good table run the first rack. So I'm sitting there feeling,
to be honest, this is probably as good, if not a better chance than the 1 in the first round.
Correct.
If I can make this 1, I just want to find the gap between the 3 and the 5.
Correct.
I'm guaranteed to be on the 2. If I remember rightly, though, I've got a little bit of outside, and that bump on the 3.
That actually helped that out very well.
Well, actually, not really, because look where it left me. I'm now treetopped over that 4 ball, and that's horrible, because I've got to play this as a slow roll. If I'd have missed the 3, and just those little minute differences, there was no reason to go close to that 3.
Yeah.
And by so doing, it's finished in the one awkward place in the whole middle of the table where makes this 2 missable.
It does make it missable, but you do have natural angle here with the 3 now being close over that pocket.
It's true, and unfortunately, I can chip too thin. And so I do surrender the table, but I was fortunate in that I didn't leave you anything easy. There's no bank here.
It's hard defense from here because you only have the 3 ball essentially to play defense with. I'm over the 7. So again, coming up to this table, I don't want to say I didn't have a chance, but I don't have a clear opportunity just yet. So I have to remain patient, and I have to just play high percentage from wherever I'm at.
You just go for the short snooker behind the 3. And that's a good shot. Got me full ball. The kick's a bit tricky. And I think I'm going to go for the short stick. Just having a quick look at this. It's interesting when I've done these before, because obviously you do remember the game, but you don't remember every detail. And so as you're going through watching it, you start to be reminded.
Yeah, this overwhelming feeling of when's my chance going to come in at this point? And considering how proficient you are with the short cue, I still wasn't feeling 100% comfortable with that defense.
But I'm going to give the guys a bit of a spoiler alert. I'm going to mess this up. And watch my bridge hand as I hit cue ball. You've got to stay solid. You've got to stay still. And I've got a tendency to, as I hit the cue ball, I lift my bridge hand.
Yeah.
I lift my head up and I almost do a little hop, as if me jumping visibly.
Is it because you have to do a quick jump over that 3?
Not at all. It's just like a bad habit that I've gotten into of like moving. It's moving on the shot, and it's an extreme example. And I'm not surprised I didn't execute it well. So folks who are watching, this is why watching your take back is such a fantastic tool. Because what I'll normally do, I'll have a notebook here open and I'll be jotting down as soon as I see something that I'm not happy with. And I'll also do a screenshot a lot of the time. I'll put it into the notes app on my phone so that next time I go to the billiard hall and I'm playing a bit of practice, I can pull that out and just go through those. It also stops me from thinking over and over about these things, because I kind of just dump all of that baggage, if you will, into a logbook, and I can say, okay, I'm going to deal with that later, rather than thinking, oh, why did I do that? Why was that,
Which, as a fellow YouTube streamer as well too, I can easily relate to that. It's one of those moments where I can be more in the moment at the table, because I know there's going to be a log of this at some point on video.
Exactly.
So I don't really have to stress or kind of be in my feelings regarding how I shot badly or poorly. I can just kind of move on and focus on the shot that's right in front of me.
And speaking of which, you've just made a nice shot there, and now you've got, I thought that was you snookered it. No, that's the 4, isn't it?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so you're nicely on the 4.
But I was feeling a little bit tense though, because the shot before that, off of ball in hand, I got straight on the next ball, which forced me to have to play the cue ball with a lot of draw. So I still didn't feel a little settled in, because I wasn't getting on the correct side of the ball as much as I wanted to. That I felt a little bit more brave, let my stroke out a little bit.
Bit flat, got a bit of an angle, haven't you, to go to the short rail?
Yeah, and you'll see here, I definitely remember what happens here now. I miss. Because
it seems a bit quick.
It seemed a bit quick, and also just, I was trying to feel the shot a little bit, and I was just saying, I went 2 rails on the shot before that. Let me try and go 2 rails again, let my stroke out.
Yeah.
And it ended up being that I just...
premature, I think. You let it go too soon.
Exactly.
And timing is such a nebulous term, but it's so important.
Yes.
And normally, the timing mistake that we make is that we let the cue go too soon.
Correct.
We're not ready. There's almost like a sine wave.
Yeah.
Like an up and down and up and down. If you can release the cue at the optimum moment, you get a nice sweet hit.
Yeah, that's very much a concept that I think a lot of amateur players can really, you learn a lot from, is the timing and just kind of the rhythm that comes with playing pool. And a lot of people think it's the actual physical rhythm of like doing practice strokes or stuff like that. But I think it's the rhythm between when you're settled down to shoot and when you're actually ready to kind of...
It's true. And when you're playing well, I don't know if you recall, but whenever I've gone into the zone on those occasions, it seems that you take pretty much the same amount of time between every shot.
Yeah.
To hit every ball about the same speed. And you've got this lovely way of floating around the table, and it's all just tick-tack, tick-tack. And that's the thing that you're striving for, to get into that rhythm.
Being very intentional. So you can have a fast rhythm, and you could, as long as you're on a good flow, but that rhythm has to be consistent, shot between shot.
Exactly. And that's something I've been really working on lately.
Yeah.
I was a tendency to be very methodical, analytical, and trying to really nail down that pre-shot routine. And I'm never going to stop doing that. But what I wanted to do was give some space for like a natural rhythm to emerge.
Yes.
And trying to get a little bit of a better tempo. And I have had some success with that, but I've also been aware of the pitfall, which of course is getting slightly more excited, because all of a sudden, if you get into the flow and the balls are going in easy, you're like, oh wow, this is easy, oh, I'm doing great here, and you just seem to get a little bit more excited, a little bit faster, the ego starts like puffing up.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, you've missed an easy shot.
And you realize how much more of an emphasis that focus needs to be in a game, no matter how easy, like this shot being over the pocket. Like, it's not that the shot is difficult, but you need to still maintain your focus, because your focus needs to now run between the 1 to the end of the rack. The 2 is tough here.
This is the key shot. If you could get on the 2, actually everything else is pretty straightforward. It's just that 2. Okay, the 4 is a bit blocked by the 10, but there's a very narrow window here. You've got to get between the 8 and the 9 and come down.
Yeah, you want your focus to be consistent. Again, the thing is, in these kind of short sets, you really want to emphasize too being able to keep that focus for as long as you possibly can. No matter what the ebbs and flows of the match are, you always want to keep yourself motivated to win, because that's essentially what's going to get you through any situation at the table.
Just to explain a bit to the people who are watching, the format we've chosen for this grudge match is the same that we'd used for the previous ones, and that is a best of 3 sets. So it's a decent length of match, and the sets are also a race to 6 racks. So you may have seen in the Predator Pro Billiards series, they're playing best of 3 sets, but they'd only play race to 4 racks. So this is actually quite a long match, and you do need to keep that focus. Of course, the first set is of huge importance, because then if you can get that, you only need 1 more. But you're still not home and hosed, even if you get the first one. And you've got a lot of racks to win. You've got to win at least 12 racks, and probably more if it goes to three sets.
Now, Mike, do you like these multi-set formats for one match? How do you feel about that?
If I were to do this again, let's say we were to play again, I would play either race to 4 racks and the best of 3 sets, like I just described, like the way the Pro Billiard series does, or I consider making it a single set but making it longer.
Yeah.
So for this sort of stake, I think you might be looking at race to 11.
Yeah, I agree. I think 11's fine.
Single race to 11, $100 a corner, and then that's a good match.
Gives you enough drama, gives you enough time in that set for either someone to really kind of take you out of the set altogether, or, it's a good show either way.
Oh yeah, and also, just because someone goes 5-0 ahead, you'll see a lot of comebacks.
Yeah.
Because there will be ebb and flow. You might not start so great. And I'm off to a flyer here. I've got 2-0, and I've got this easy, well, not easy, I've got a fairly straightforward combo to 3-0. So I'm off to a flying start. But the longer match gives the plenty of time for that momentum shift, and you've got to be so careful, because all it takes is one bad shot, give your opponent an opportunity, and all of a sudden they can come raging back, especially if they've had 4 or 5 kind of frustrating racks that they should have won or maybe didn't really get into. And so
Are you reading my head right now? Because that's how I feel in this match currently, because I just scratched prior to that because I had a bad safety attempt. And it just lined up the 1 and the 10 to
exactly.
So,
and right now you're in a world of pain, because you've got to get a rack before you can settle. And so for those players who are starting out, if you get into this situation, it's even more important for the person who's in the lead to play tight. You might think, oh no, I could afford to loosen up a little bit. Well, not really, because you've got your opponent where you want them.
Correct.
And if you can keep your foot firmly pressed on their neck, then you're going to have a lot better chance to get to the winning line.
That's a very good point, Mike. A lot of people think playing tight could be detrimental to the set, but ultimately I think playing tight when you're ahead allows you to, again, stay more focused. You're making high percentage shots in which you're not giving up the table for the most random reasons. So I think playing tight is actually the smart way.
Yeah, it was Louis Abarca. He actually taught me that little lesson. We played quite a few sets. We're doing like Solado challenges, 8-ball, 9-ball, and 10-ball. And there was a few sets where I was ahead, and I started to get a little bit loose, going for more and more ambitious shots. And guess what? He came back and beat me on every occasion. And he was the one who's saying, no, just because you're ahead.
Yeah.
That's a nice shot you played there. Cut off the 1 rail.
Yeah, I wanted to get underneath it, definitely, but not too far over so that you could get the long rail to your left, but also cut off the long rail to the right. But yeah, no, I think that's a great point with Louis. I think it's important to understand that just because you have the lead doesn't necessarily guarantee anything outside of the fact that you're up. So, what better way to stay up than to, continue to play consistent and recognize the fact that you are up by 3 racks.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was doing the poster for the next Moth-like tournament, and I'm now going to rebrand instead of the Moth-like Shootout. It's going to be the Moth-like Series.
Yeah,
because it's a monthly series, and the next one's going to be after Tuesday. Of course, there's one on Tuesday. It's going to be the 5th of July, and it's going to be a big one. We're going $100 entry fee with 680 and under Fargo.
Oh, so is this a premiere?
Bringing in the big guns.
Oh my goodness!
The race is to 7. What do you think of this? And 40 points of Fargo difference. Maximum 3 on the wire on the A side, and on the B side, it's a race to 5, and maximum 2 racks on the wire. So it's about 40% of the way to the winning line if you're a better player than your opponent.
The great thing about opening it up to a higher skill level is just the play is just going to be that much more better.
Well, I hope we're going to get like to Josh Watson and Nyan and a few others. Winnie, yeah, all those guys. And plus, if anyone's watching here from Los Angeles, if you guys want to come on down, you'd be very welcome.
The challenge is out there.
And I'm going to run it as a modified single elimination, which I'm trialing this coming Tuesday with just 8 players. But there's a 32-player modified single elim bracket on Digital Pool, which I can use. And that would be awesome if we got that size. But even if it's only 16, it'll still be a great tournament. And the reason I started talking about that was I was looking for a quote. I wanted to put a quote on there underneath the logo. And the quote I found was, opportunities don't happen. You make them.
Yeah.
So if you've created an opportunity by getting yourself in the lead, you want to make the most of that. You don't want to squander that by getting loose and slack and giving your opponent lots of easy opportunities to get their confidence up and get back into the game. You want to really use that opportunity to try and press on.
Which I think is great, and I applaud you for, putting yourself up against these like challenge matches or these grudge matches, because you will only learn about these situations when you're actually put into them, right? So if you're playing BCA League, you would have beat me by now because we're 3-0 out. But if you're playing these longer sets or like sets that are, a little bit more extended, you will get a lot of chances to really look at different scenarios in place, whether it's with yourself or with your opponent.
Exactly. I mean, what we're looking at right now is a prime example. I've got this opportunity, and this is a chance to get to 4-0. And so I'm really steeling myself. I want to run out. Okay, I'm going to collide here after the 2, but I get a nice bump.
Yeah.
And this is finished perfectly.
Yeah.
And so
it was like, oh my goodness.
So what this is about is just keeping your composure here and don't do anything silly.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to go too slow and start losing the tempo. Nor do I want to get overexcited and play on. So it's about trying to find that happy medium. And I'm not saying I've found it yet.
Yeah.
I've been both sides of the line.
Yeah.
And it's by playing matches like this, like you just said, and then by this type of post-match analysis that you can really crystallize in your mind the ideal tempo to strive for.
Yeah. As a player that's in the lead, like right now, what I would also take into consideration, like if, I was in the lead, is that I've been at this table majority of the time than my opponent. And I've been making more shots. So that's just an outright indicator that I have control of for the most part of this match. So everything falls with every decision that I make. So I need to make sure, like again, playing tight or just playing smarter, whatever the case may be, is that I just need to continue to stay at the table.
True. It's similar to the first run out that I did, in the shape that I was never getting ideal. I seemed to be either under-hitting things or slightly over-hitting them. I left myself a lot of thin cuts.
Yeah.
But in some respects, leaving yourself cuts all the time is not a bad thing, because you've always got a nice angle to maneuver the cue ball.
Agreed.
This one is kind of a natural. I put a little bit of outside on there, and I want to try and get the middle of the table if I can, so I can cut that 7 in, and I want to try and get above the 8 to play it in the same pocket. So
Yes.
it's the tricky thing I've found with these is obviously there's a scratch if you're not careful in the cross side. So you've got to pick a point, and where I've been watching those pros is they're able to play so precisely, just a half diamond below or above the side pocket, and as they're playing the shot, they know exactly where the cue ball is going to hit. And I'm still a little bit unsure. My tangent line is still not exactly nailed in. So what this is revealing to me is how great would it be if I spent an hour or half an hour playing this shot and trying to get that point. I'm just pointing, I want a half a diamond from the middle pocket, and then what if I can hit that point, then it's only speed control.
I was just about to say, like, one of the things I love to practice is, you know, hitting the mark in between that diamond and the pocket. And because it's no different than any other spot on the rail, right?
Yeah, so I missed the mark.
Yeah.
I hit it thinner than I expected. I caught the 9.
Yeah.
And then even catching the 9, I was still below that third diamond. So now I've messed it up.
Yeah, I practice like that position all the time because I need to just dial it in within myself that I know what kind of a stroke or what kind of a hit I need to do with that cue ball. Ultimately, I probably would have just accepted the longer shot on the 8 and just try and just draw it just down table.
Right, just go above the side.
Just go above the side pocket and just take whatever shot I had on the table. And again, only because as well too, you've been at this table majority of the time than I have, and you've been pocketing some very difficult shots already. So what's one more difficult shot, I guess you could say, when you already have?
Yeah, it's a good point you make, Mike, because then I've missed the bang and I present you with this opportunity.
Correct.
And, you know, if I could have kept you cold in the chair and gone 4-0, that would have been a world of pain. Because then you think, oh my God, if I lose this one, he's on the hill. And am I going to win a rack this set?
Yeah. I haven't even been able to piece together, I think, more than 2 or 3 shots. So even though there's only 3 shots on this table, like, this is still a mountain for me to climb at this point. Again, considering the score and my opponent.
Yeah, and you still obviously not got the stroke 100% yet.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm feeling confident. As I come to the table, I think I will be sure to pot this.
Yeah.
I think I'm not going to miss.
Which this shot would not have been much more different if you actually went to the back end of the table, right?
What you're saying is so true. In other words, this is about the same as I could have left myself. And what I'm trying to do here is be a bit precise. I want to get the cue ball across the table twice and finish on a perfect 9 straight in the corner. And once again, it's my tangent line that's going to let me down here.
Are you spoiling it for the audience?
I'm afraid it's just a spoiler. This is one of the things when it's not live. But I'm gonna try and do that. But I don't know if it's because I put a little bit of spin on, or I think I just like played it a real slow shot, you know, and that cue ball just came like a real flat angle across the table. Needed maybe a trace of left, tiny bit of left.
Like what we would call as you cinched the shot. You made it to make it, but you let the cue ball just go. So if you had just a tiny bit of the left just to keep it on that line, I think you would have been a little bit more golden.
Now, crucial here, I've still got my foot on your neck.
Yes.
So what should I do here? Should I go for this thin, dicey 9 ball? Or maybe could I go for the bank in the bottom left? Or could I even play safe?
I see a save, personally, from here.
Well, I think those words could be prophetic, because I go to the pot, and guess what? I've given you an easy chance to win your first rack. But I mean, it's easy to say no with hindsight.
Correct.
But you know, there's a time when the safety there, it's maybe not what your intuition tells you, but actually it's a dicey thin cut. You're going to leave yourself a long way away. Maybe to lock it up might have been better. But it's easy to be wise after the event.
Correct.
You make the 9, and then you've got this long 10.
Ultimately, you don't want to go away from what your intuition tells you, but you always have to combat it with what's the highest percentage shot in that moment.
Exactly.
So as much as you feel well about cutting it, maybe the higher percentage shot was the safety.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to take that into consideration.
I think you're right. I think maybe that was a 5 out of 10 9 ball.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough. So now, how do you feel? 3-1.
You know, to be honest, relieved, but it was only 2 shots, right? So for somebody like here I am, I'm just trying to loosen up. I want to like get this stroke out even for the break. So I'm telling myself, okay, I got the 1 rack under my belt. Mike is halfway through this set. I'm 2 racks away from being halfway with him. Let me just focus on getting 2 racks underneath my belt. Because the only thing I'm thinking at this point is playing well, but also to not let you gain
Well,
another rack.
just what you don't want to see. And the 3 has gone close to the 10. Now,
The 2 is off to the side.
2's a bit awkward, but I'm thinking already, if I can get on that 3, maybe there's a chance here for another early 10.
Also, for the viewers, the worst thing you can do after winning a rack is essentially breaking and giving that ball back to...
The scratch break is the worst.
Yeah.
It really is.
Especially after you won a rack. Because you don't carry over any momentum from your win from the previous rack. You actually give it back to your opponent.
True.
And your opponent feels that much better about it because...
Yeah, I mean, depends. I mean, 9 ball is the same. You're either going to leave them a chance to run out the table, or if it's an awkward rack, they're going to 3 foul you.
Yes.
So you give them 1, they put the cue ball anywhere they want. A good player will find a way to get you in a world of pain. But here I'm looking at getting on the 2 so that I can get somewhere over to the right. There's an ideal spot, isn't there, where you could make that 3-10 as easy as possible.
Yeah. Which also, for those watching today, going for the 3 foul is, I say, if it's doable from the beginning of the rack, while you have the most balls on the table, I think you should attempt to go for it.
I'd say I would always caveat that with if there's a blockage to the run out.
Yes.
I think it's good in your head to be thinking, yeah, I'm going to run the table. And if you see the pattern, you should do it. But if there's some awkwardness and the run out's a tall complex, look how generous that pocket is.
Wow.
That didn't look like
You got on the...
Unfortunately, once again, my tangent lines let me down a bit. I want it to be where I've just indicated.
Yeah.
Which is only about 4 or 5 inches away. But now, I'm a bit frustrated. I can't really go for the 9. So, the shot to play is maybe a good safe here. The 3 won't go. It might go if I were to play a bank. I'm just trying, if I push it to the rail.
Yeah.
But then that's a little tricky as well. Now, I don't know, what would you do here?
I would push the 3 over to the long rail on the left and just get the cue ball behind this 10. Again, you're playing against an opponent who...
Look at that. That was not a great shot.
It looks like that's kind of what you were trying to do, right? I mean,
but the pace that I put on 3...
Yeah.
You know, I mean, all I have to do is make it to the rail.
Yeah.
And I've made it all like almost 2 feet further on. And the cue balls obviously run down. So I'd say that was, for me, it was due to the proximity of the balls too close together.
Yeah.
Very hard to get that finesse and touch.
Very, very difficult.
When you're so close. You're concerned about a double hit. You've got issues. And so I have now, worryingly for me, presented you with another easy opportunity, and your tail's already up a little bit because you're no longer at 0, and you can perhaps look to run these out and get to 3-2.
And honestly, that kind of almost erased the fact that I scratched on the break because I was able to get control of the table back after 2 balls.
Exactly.
So for me, it's kind of like, okay, great. The scratch on the break didn't really punish me that much, so I can continue on as if I made a ball on the break.
It looks like a nice table from here.
Yeah, it opened up. Everything is kind of like keep the cue ball in the center of the table and we should be fine.
Yeah. So I think that I was suffering a little bit going back to that 3-10. Just to finding the percentage shot, as you've rightly said. And especially important when your opponent's starting to get back into it and now you're wrestling for momentum. Who's going to emerge on top after this little turning point that we've had?
Yeah. I definitely like to give myself a little bit of credit and say that, I really, always try and play the highest percentage shot, and always try and figure out whatever that is. Only because, again, in a long set like this and against a strong opponent, you really want to just trust your instincts, but also just play whatever the table gives you. So you just want to stay in the moment as much as you possibly can.
Those are wise words for everyone learning this game. I mean, if you were to try and put that into practice, you will never go far wrong.
You really won't. And if you just, again, the more shots you play, the more you practice, the more you recognize these situations, the more you'll get a better understanding of what high percentage means to you as a player. But there is obviously so many options to approaching the game. So if you can get, into a shot that's definitely more reliable, it's good to practice those shots. That's a bit of a kill shot right there. I didn't really come over with enough left. I had draw, but not enough left on that one.
Yeah. And I seem to recall you looking at cutting this in, and I'm sitting there in my chest saying, please go for the cut. Go for the cut.
So I was like, I need momentum. I need to keep this going.
First of all, it's extremely skinny, so that there's a strong chance you might catch the point.
But do you see how I'm like, I stand up and I look at it and I just like convince myself to just play the high percent shot, and you'll see the defense here.
Yeah, this is a killer shot. Look at the maximum separation, cue ball dead on the rail, 8 in the middle of the top cushion. I can't see the whole of the 8. I'm not snookered, but looking at this.
What does that do to you mentally, Holty? Seeing like after, obviously...
I'm telling you right now, I don't fancy this shot very much at all. There's a side to side available where you try and hit it half ball and get that 8 over to the side and the cue ball on the other side. But I don't think I think I'm concerned if I play that, I'll put it over the middle pocket.
Yeah.
So what I try to do is a shot that I probably would not play again, especially on that table.
I remember now.
I want to do a slow roll and I want to hit it full ball. So I get a little double kiss and I leave the 2 balls lined up. But I don't know if I put a tracer left on there. Maybe I did.
Speed might have been a little bit hard as well too.
Speed was a bit hard, but I actually hit that half ball.
Yeah.
And I was aiming full ball. So when you've only got a tiny sliver of the cue ball visible above the rail, it's very easy to go off the central axis. And I think I maybe put a little bit of left spin, which just caused that cue ball to drift off. And of course, it's a disaster. I would have been better off playing anything, maybe even just hitting it hard.
Correct.
To go and try and get separation. Maybe you'll even get a bank in one of the bottom corners. At least you've had a go. Whereas what I did was kind of just sell out.
Yeah.
Give a sellout shot with no chance of anything positive happening. Wouldn't have been much of a containing shot. And so now, from being 3-0, I'm suddenly only 3-2, and my opponent is on the march.
Can I tell you, defensive shots like the one I made, especially that I talked myself out of the offensive shot, really puts a lot of confidence in my game, because it's not about the shot itself, but it's the fact that I was able to determine what was the best shot in that situation.
Yeah, it's the discipline as well to not listen to the voice that wants you to. This is a great break. Look at this. Play ball break. Wow. And a shot as well.
Yeah.
The shot on the 1. So.
And everything's really open too.
Yeah. I mean, if you can make this, you got to cut it in the side, I would imagine.
Yeah. The 3 rails looks fairly natural to go around for the 2 to even stay on the short side as well.
I mean, you play the 2 in the top left next.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if I ran too far anyways, I'd have the 2-7. So, I was really feeling like I can stroke this shot for sure.
Yeah, it looks good. And it is the 2-7, I think.
Yes.
Slightly off in the sense that it's a bit blind, isn't it?
A bit. And then the 7 is out in front of the pocket a lot more than I had initially considered. I thought it was more deeper into the pocket. So when I hit it, obviously I hit it a little bit more to the right of the 7 and it didn't go in. So I really should have taken more care in making sure I hit as center to the 7 as I possibly could, instead of just, let me hope I hit the 7 and it goes in.
Exactly. Discipline.
Yeah.
And the discipline would have been to study it first. Now I'm thinking here, that 7's a bit locked on the rail and kind of get the 2 in. So I call the 7, but maybe the 2 past the 7 might have been better. But this has gone a bit awry. The 2's gone away. It's still cuttable, but it's extremely thin.
Yes.
And also I want to get over there, so I think it's loads and loads of outside and just try and play a nice soft shot.
Now, do you remember where your headspace was, considering the score line, or do you ever consider that or think about that in your matches?
Once I'm back at the table here, I'm thinking, well, you know, you've got an opportunity to re-establish dominance. Because let's face it, I had that for a few racks and then I lost it. And I lost it through probably being over-ambitious.
Okay.
I mean, a poor positional shot on that 7 to the 8, but then going for a real thin 9 when I maybe could have tied you up and just kept it safe. So I'm a victim of my own, my own errors.
Yeah.
I know, admittedly, then you've come back strong. But I'm thinking I've got a chance here to reassert. So I'm now want to draw back to that line and just get slightly above the pocket line on this 5 in the center, which would leave straightforward follow forward for the 9 and the 10.
Yeah, the commentary I always hear whenever I watch pro matches is when pros get back in line, right? They get on the correct side of the next ball, and that's all it is. And when you shot this shot, I was like, oh my goodness, like he is back in line because
you're slightly, ever so slightly close to the rail.
Yes.
And I don't know about you, but I'm kind of hypersensitive to my eye line when I get down on these shots. And of course, in a busy billiard hall, there's going to be a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And I think there's maybe some people walking, approaching the table, and I'm noticing them. And look what happened. Look what happened.
That was a pretty...
I butchered it.
Yeah,
Butchered it so bad. But that isn't my own little... In my head, I've totally distracted my attention, and I've just carried on.
Can I also add to that, I think because you're on the rail, your cue hand is actually a lot more closer to that object ball than I think where you would normally have.
You mean the cue ball?
The cue ball and where you kind of place your hand on the rail, like in conjunction or in
relation to the bridge.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
So I think one thing that...
Well, nice. That's a great play.
I was like, I can't give up this table again. But no, yeah, one thing somebody told me is whenever you're on the rail, you just want to shorten the stroke as much as you possibly can, even if you have to make, significant English on the cue ball.
But I didn't. All that was a follow forward. Simple.
Correct.
Drop it in and you'd be natural.
Yeah.
So I think that's real sound advice, actually.
Just keep it short and then just really focus on, where you're aiming on the cue ball from there with that short bridge and short stroke.
A nice stop shot. So this is to really compound my error and get me to stew over that missed 5 ball.
Yeah.
Because I would have thought, as I was, drawing back to get on that 5, that I got that rack.
Yeah.
But here we are. I'm back in the driving seat. But oh no, I'm not back in the driving seat, and I've squandered my 3-0 lead. It's now all square. It's a race.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
So great turnaround, great performance. And I'm now under the cosh. I've got to now stop the rot.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to also reassess where you're at in the match, right? Or in the set. I think, if you're Holty coming into this, you're thinking, okay, great. Mike got 3 racks off the spin, but at the end of the day, we're tied now. Like, he had to win 3 racks just to even get level with me. But essentially, we're tied. So I'm still 3 away no matter what.
Yeah. But this is kind of crucial right now to who's going to get in the lead. You have definitely got the momentum. I've missed a couple of balls, whereas you've been getting stronger.
Yeah.
And I've dropped off from the way I started.
Yeah. Now, do you think it's because you did start strong, or kind of how do you assess now that you're looking back on it?
I mean, looking back with the benefit of hindsight, I think the turning point was me being a little, I don't know, I think with that 7 to the 8, the one that I didn't quite make, I think I was trying to be a bit too clever, too precise. If I'd have just settled for being slightly further away, there was no need. It was unnecessary to be so intricate and play such a precise shot.
Yeah.
There was a much bigger margin of error available, which I kind of got a bit carried away.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm playing good. I can play these shots because I'm playing good.
Yeah.
So I can be like a pro level when I'm playing this advanced positional shot, when you should have just took what the table offered you.
Correct.
So for me, looking back at this set now from this position a few days later, that's easy for me to identify. But even that one rack, okay, that one slipped away, but then there were other opportunities later where I, sort of slightly lost a little bit of focus.
Mm-hmm.
And I, like, for example, the 5 that missed in the side, I put that down to focus.
Yeah.
And being slightly distracted, allowing yourself to be distracted, and worst of all, when the distractions occur, not resetting.
Yeah.
Because the power to reset is very, very much in your hands. You can do that at any time. And you watch all of the good players, they'll be doing that. Sometimes it's not even a very long reset. They just stand up, take a breath, maybe chalk the tip, get back down. And just that little up and down, that's sometimes all it takes to just almost like clear the buffer.
Correct. Yeah.
There was something going through your mind that it doesn't need to be there. And then you can get back with 100% focus on the ball in question.
Yeah, no, it's, again, sets like these really put a magnifying glass on those kind of moments. And, again, I'm glad that you were able to invite me out for us to play a set like this, because it really puts you, at your paces. Like, you really kind of figure yourself out a lot.
You're putting yourself to the test in the high pressure environment where you can only be when you are playing matches of this nature or big tournaments. And even just playing in league doesn't give you the same feeling.
No, and that's not, at any fault to league at all. It's just a matter of, how you're feeling. Coming into this matchup, I knew that I lost to you 3-0 during league, and I was like, I need to really kind of play well, because I honestly thought you're gonna come out playing as strong as you did in the first rack. And you did. Like, you ran out again a table run. So I told myself, I'm up to the test here. Like, I really have to step up and take everything that I know within my skill set and just kind of apply it in this matchup. Like, I took this matchup very, very seriously.
Oh, believe me, so did I. I really did. And what it gives me, there's kind of almost like a slightly bittersweet thing that I started great. And it's almost like I said earlier on, it's almost like you don't want to start too well.
Correct. Yeah, because the expectation is maybe a little, the bar is
at the same time, if you were to ask yourself, would you like to start out and do a table run or a break and run straight out the chops? Of course, the answer is always yes.
Of course.
So what that reveals to me is the absolute paramount importance of just being able to keep your focus and not letting the fact that you've played well or that you've got yourself into a lead affect you.
Yeah.
And I think it did affect me. And that's a very valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Don't try and get too fancy. Take it all in your stride, accept what it is, and let it be gone. And now it's rack 4, but let's pretend it's rack 1 again.
Yeah.
And let's start from scratch. This next rack is the important rack.
Yeah.
And it's not that you're suddenly on a pedestal that you've created.
Yeah.
And I think I was very much guilty of that. Not just in this match, but in some previous matches where I've started well, or I've found a level, found a gear, and then allowed that to almost derail me a little bit later on.
And I told you this after the match, but I wanted to really emphasize that, your game is extremely solid. Like, any situation that I think you've been given at the table, you've come at it in a way where it's exactly the way the shot should essentially be played, minus maybe some execution errors. But for the most part, like, look at this shot. Inside, didn't get up high enough, but you're still on a good spot on the table.
Yeah, I think it was the right shot to play, but again, I just slightly choked the cue on delivery. Didn't quite get through the ball as I would have liked to.
But you're still okay. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
I can play this with a lot of left again and try and flick the cue ball around, almost throw 7 in and get this cue ball around 3 rails. I'm just tracing it out there.
And this is exactly where we differ. I would have gone right.
Yeah.
Just try and just slice it as thin as possible. Let the right kind of make its way back over to the right side of the table.
So where would you be if you play this with right? Where's the cue ball gonna hit?
Just above where the 10 is now, and then come back over to the other side of the table.
Okay.
But I mean, look at that. You played a great shot. You're essentially back in line.
Back in line, yeah. And this is looking pretty good, actually.
Yeah, from where you were at.
From where I was at, I mean, it kind of went a bit wrong. And all I have to do is get nice, get up, but finish below the pocket line on the 9. And then I want to try and come 2 rails and get above that 10 and just drop it in the center.
Oh, yes.
And that is a moment of recollection.
Yes. See, okay.
So here's what I did.
I genuinely forget what happened.
Yeah, I tend to forget my bad shots straight away. I remember the good ones a bit longer. But that was another little deceleration.
Yeah, anywhere above the...
I was above the 8 at the perfect angle. And I was trying so hard to stay below the pocket line that I stayed way below.
Yeah.
And now this is... well, I'll let the viewers judge for themselves what they think happens. But I'm trying, as you can see, to get 2 rails and finish on that 10 in the side.
Yeah, no, I think as much as this is a severe cut, you do have the angle to make it down there. So really the focus is 100% making the shot with a tiny bit of right. And then, just compensate with that right for the cut.
And there you go. So that was not well timed. It's almost it's almost a deceleration again, and especially when you're playing it with the outside, the cue ball swerves quite a lot as you hit it, and that's a sellout.
Yeah, for shots like that where you feel like you need to emphasize putting any kind of left or right English, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that you just want to go a little bit off center.
Tiny.
Because the more, you'd rather have a solid stroke or hit on that shot versus trying to spin it out, because it then throws your object ball so hard, which you'll see on this shot. Kind of happens with the 9 being in front of the pocket. I went against going inside here, which is right hand English, to stay on the left side of the table, and decided to go
play for the 10 in the top left. I mean,
correct.
Yeah.
So then I changed my mind, decided I'm gonna go low left and spin around and try and get above the 10 for the side. And talk about butchering a shot. Yeah.
But this is why the game of pool is so humbling.
Yeah.
That no matter how much we've played, and we've both been playing for decades, a ball over the pocket, and a beginner could come in and pick up a cue for the very first time and knock that ball in, and we'll find a way to miss it because we're trying something fancy.
And you hit the nail on the head. So it's the opposite of focus. I was too focused, and I was trying to do too much with the cue ball, versus just, again, doing what the table is giving me, right? And I should have just went with the initial instinct.
Yeah.
But I thought, I have all the skill. I can go around the table. I could spin it. And I ended up...
Do you know, I think we should play a game like Pool Commentators Bingo. Because if there are certain things that we end up saying more than once, and it comes through as a theme, maybe that's a really, really important thing.
I think that's, which is, again, the key reason why we film these sets, the reason why we play these sets is, this is all a telltale sign of, where our game is currently at. And, having the ability to look back and watch back is such a great advantage.
Oh, it is.
To be honest.
It is. I must admit, a lot of the times, especially after league, if I'd had a bad night, I mean, there's some nights when I played 8 ball and I'd lost 4 racks, 4 single racks, and maybe I'd missed the opportunities.
Look at that break.
That's not a bad break.
I tried to save.
Hang on.
I tried to save the 3 from going over the thing, and I was like, oh no, what did I do?
Yeah. So I've just made 4 balls on the break, haven't I? Or 5? No, 4. 4 balls on the break, and the 3's lined up next to the 10.
Yeah.
But I think here, this is a really wonderful opportunity, right?
You have to go for it.
You have to go for it. But I seem to be taking my time here, don't I?
I mean, you just won a rack. you hadn't won a rack in a little bit, so I don't think you want to give this set back right away just because the opportunity presents itself, right? So again, the emphasis on keeping it tight is still in play here.
But I think you've got to go for this.
Correct.
Yeah, I've got to go for it. And
I mean, what else would you do?
I don't know. I mean, I can't really find a lot of fault apart from if I were to be hypercritical. I watched that shot a lot and watched it several times. I even went frame by frame, and I did all the upfront analysis, like looking at the line, getting down, where is the point. But when I got behind the shot, as soon as I got behind the shot, I just got down and hit it. And actually, there's something I've been doing a lot lately, and I've copied it from a wonderful snooker player called Mark Williams, Welsh guy. And he stands to attention behind the shot, and he holds the cue, and he almost like pulls his heels together.
Yeah.
And he stuffs his chest out. And what he's doing at that instant, he's making a final commitment. He's finally saying, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to hit the cue ball. This is what's going to happen. And then when he's done that, he then gets down and hits it. And I'd started doing that after watching him in the recent World Snooker Championship. And my level just went up. I was suddenly making a much better percentage. But I wasn't doing it all the time. And on that shot, that crucial big shot, I sort of like did the first half of the analysis, but not the most important,
which is the setup and the
final part of the pre-shot, where you're looking at the shot before you get down, and you're saying to yourself, I'm going to hit this cue ball slightly below center, catch the 3 ball there, and then knock the 10 straight in the pocket. And you've got it all laid out, and you commit yourself, you visualized it, and you get down, and then all you've got to do is just time the ball, hit the ball where you are.
That really is the pinnacle of really solid pool playing or solid foundation, is being able to see that line that you're creating previous to the shot, and lining your physical self behind the ball, so that your cue mimics that same exact line that you're using as a target. And you just want to deliver that cue as straight and as solidly as possible. So that's kind of what Mike's talking about, right? Like, he lined up the shot, he sees it in his head, like seeing it right now. You see him, he's standing at attention.
So I've done it here. This is the moment where you commit yourself,
and then you step into it, and you still have that line, that same line that he had while he was standing up. He now has to translate that as he's down over the shot, but it's all about just delivering the cue from here.
And all I can identify is that there's something about something like intentionality.
Yes,
you do your preliminary waggles, whatever you do, but there's a moment when you're like ready, you're there, and it's just before that final backswing. And if you can crystallize your focus at that moment, just like you did there, and time the ball, then it's going to go straight in the heart of the pocket. If you're slightly tentative, and if you're slightly undecided, unconfident, any vestige of doubt, that's going to mess you up.
When I'm down over the shot, I take 2 strokes, pause a little bit in the back, and then make sure I just follow through. But I don't have any other thought in my head. I don't even have a thought about actually making it. I'm just so focused on repetition and delivering that cue from the front to the back, like the same way I do every time. Because any thought about the shot is already gone.
Too late. It's like somebody said, there's a choreographer and dancer. When you bend down, you're the dancer, you just got to dance. Then when you're walking around the table, that's the choreographer, and you shouldn't miss the two together. So
4-4 now.
4-4 now, race to 2. And I have to say, I squandered a couple of opportunities there that if I were on it, I think I would have probably, one of those 7 balls, I mean, that long one especially. On these tables, this is a fairly generous gold crown that we're playing on here. You've got to get them close, and really you should be making anything that's fairly, you got your hand on the table, okay, it's 8-9 feet from the cue ball to the pocket, you should still be knocking that in.
I agree. And that's kind of where my focus was that I just needed to stay on the table. I saw at this point in the match, Mike was kind of allowing myself back at the table. So I really wanted to make sure I made most of the opportunities that I had leading up to my shots, because if I gave Mike another opportunity, he could also hit a gear that would really be punishable for me.
That's it. I mean, I had my chance. I basically got one rack from 3-0 to 3-3. I got that one to go 4-3, but then didn't really capitalize on the opportunities to go 5-3, and that was critical.
Yeah.
I go 5-3, then your comeback is a thing of ancient history.
Exactly.
I'm on the hill, and it's basically my set to lose.
Yeah.
So once again, finding reasons to really apply yourself it's something that I noticed later on, and I was jotting down when I was doing my little post analysis of which shots to maybe work on in practice, was how important was that rack.
Yeah.
And in the scheme of things, it was probably the biggest one so far, once I've lost the fourth, to give me the chance to go on and get the set.
Yeah.
And it's something that you maybe, it seems kind of innocuous now, but it's very, very important to identify those little turning points in games, and do that little bit of extra that you've got to do to get over the line.
I've lost enough times in my life to know that a lot of the losses that have been imparted onto me have been my fault. Because I didn't really take advantage of that moment. I didn't really put my best effort going.
Well, I'm in bits at the moment. You see that too? I've just missed.
Yeah.
And that was the easiest shot that I've missed. And so I'm walking away pretty dejected at this moment. And I'm feeling as though if I'm not careful, you're going to be taking the 5-4 lead. And then I'm on the caution. My lovely start to this set could be all for nothing. So that's my headspace right now.
Yeah, and with the pace that I play, I'm pretty much just going off of instinct. Like even that defensive shot, like I just wanted to create separation, leave the 2-ball on the short rail, get the cue ball somewhere in the center. I didn't want to leave you a jump shot, or I didn't want to leave the object ball in front of a pocket. So, I just was feeling much better about my decision making from here.
I'm not sure about that shot either. I think I've got I thought I was going to get lucky for a second. No, I've left it up, haven't I?
Yeah, I probably would have tried to go 2 rails behind the 2 just to create separation.
Yeah, I mean, I played it with a lot of right-hand spin. I came rail first. I think there was a line where you could have hit the 2 directly and just got the cue ball away up table towards the 3. It's easy to say now.
Yeah, that was a bad miss as well, too.
So we're both struggling a little bit to seize the initiative here.
Yeah, at this point in the match, I was thinking, who wants this match the most? Like, who wants to win? So, like you had just missed the 2, I missed the 2. At this point, I'm just kind of like, well, somebody needs to kind of take the reins here.
Yeah, get the rack by the scruff of the neck.
Yeah.
And impose themselves. Okay, so coming round. Finished right on top of this 4. I don't mind these type of shots where, as long as there's not too much angle, you're not cutting it too much. And it's one that I've played a few times, and I have a sense of a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
You get the cue almost vertical to jab down at it so you don't do the double hit.
Yeah, you see the line on these really well. I personally do not. I don't know if it has to do with your height, but when I get over these shots, I always feel like the object ball is so wide.
Yeah, like, if you've made a few, you kind of just have this association in your mind.
Look at that.
Yeah, and it's one of those shots now. This is a great opportunity, and it's a two-way shot to put the 5 in the corner, cue ball behind the 9 or above the 9. I would have shape on the 6 if 5 drops, but if it doesn't, and all you've got to do is get it close and it'll stay right in the jaws, and then I should have a great advantage. But again, that's not a good delivery.
And again, I think it has to do with the fact that your hand was kind of on the rail. I think with stroke shots like that, maybe you're used to kind of having a little bit more leeway or runway.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's something off about the timing. It was just off. And I think if I had to identify something myself, like I tend to just say, well, why did I miss that? What did I do wrong? What I would say there was just a timing issue and not being ready, not being deliberate, not being intentional. There's a level of focus when you're almost forcing, like with the power of your mind, that ball in the pocket. And I didn't have that degree of intensity, and maybe or complete confidence that was going right in the heart of the pocket. As a consequence, don't be surprised if you miss.
Yeah.
So this another two-way shot.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was really unfortunate because...
Do you know something? I'm going to stop you. Scratches are never unfortunate. Let's dispel this myth once and for all. The pocket's always there. And if I play that stroke and I come one rail straight in the pocket, that's my bad. And leave you with this combination to take that lead and get yourself on the hill. So yeah, I mean, I used to think to myself, oh, how unlucky is that? Oh,
sure.
No. But actually, it's a bad shot. I only control two things: the shot I choose to play and the way I execute it, and I executed that one badly. I don't think the choice was necessarily wrong, but I should have identified, and it was just down to the fact that my estimation of the tangent line was off.
Yeah. Maybe speed as well too, because you want to get it to that side of the table, which you did, but the cue ball was still rolling a lot as it went into the pockets. So.
Exactly. But it's another one. It's in my little notebook of shots to practice next time I go in there with and I've got a half an hour or an hour to play on my own.
Now, how do you go about assessing? Obviously, you said you have a notebook. You jot down what you do want to work on. How, do you at all prioritize I need to work on this because it'll help this out? Or how do you go about assessing which shots?
Well, normally it's a fairly short match, so there's not a very long list, or hopefully there's not such a long list. With this match, actually, there's quite a long list because it's a long old match. I'm not sure how many racks we play, but it's a lot. And I will try and go through and identify what the key shots were. Mm-hmm. Some of them, it's not necessarily the shot, it's the time in the match.
Yeah.
The juncture. And you're never going to be able to recreate that. But what you can do is reset the balls to exactly the same situation and maybe play that shot a dozen times and play it in a few different ways, and then decide, was your decision-making process correct?
Yeah.
Or were you, in fact, making the wrong shot choice? And that's something that you can very much adapt and bring into your future considerations, so because your natural tendency is to repeat the same choice, because that's what you arrived at that decision. But if you realize that it's the wrong shot, then you have to find out what the right shot was, and that might be you have to start playing shots that you particularly don't fancy.
Correct. I was just
the ones that you avoid, and those are the ones that you really do need to put time in.
When you play rotation pool enough, like 9-ball, 10-ball, anything of that sort, you realize the same situation shows up so often. So you're kind of really trying to tell yourself, what's in my encyclopedia of shot selection can I choose to play in certain situations? And, anytime you're actually assessing or over a ball and you're taking your time, it's because you're trying to figure it out right then and there. But for the most part, if you play enough pool, especially at this level, a lot of what you kind of take in should automatically be something you've already played before.
Well, that's actually what I think is really going on. Is you might think that you're making a calculated decision from scratch every time, but actually you're not. You've got a memory bank, and you're finding shots in your memory bank that you've played that were like that before. And that's why some shots, like the one where I jacked up and cut the
yeah, exactly.
It's a shot that I've got this strong positive association with. So I'll get to the table and think, yeah, that's going in.
Yeah.
We've all got our favourites, but we've also got our shots that we avoid. And it's about trying to unravel them.
Broaden it.
Yeah, and add, rather than just like adding one extra arrow to your bow, or to an extra bullet in the magazine, so that you've got another weapon at your disposal to continue the fight.
Like, I love the safety I just played, right? I recognized it right away, just knew I needed to put a little bit of right spin so that the ball kind of dies off of contact with the object ball.
Yeah.
But hit it at a speed where the 2 ball goes up.
It's a great shot.
And then the cue ball just barely moved. I've hit that shot so many times. Doesn't mean I hit him right every time, but I have practiced that shot. So, it's one of those things where I could have banked it, but...
Yeah, well, you're looking at creating a winning opportunity for this set now. So I'm under big pressure, trying to hit this 2 rails. And not very close. Good 8 to 10 inches away. So I'm grateful now that the 3 is where it is.
Correct.
Because that is probably, for me, the hardest position of a ball to be on the whole billiard table.
Which is probably why, spoiler alert, I am not choosing to go for the run out from here. I am actually trying to navigate a 3 foul win. Again, I'm on the hill. So the reason why I would go for a 3 foul from here is, it's going to just add so much pressure on Mike if I can get some safeties in.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he has to hit it.
Yeah.
And if he does not hit it, he loses the set.
Totally. And that extra pressure, especially if you can make it a 2 rail that you just forced me into trying, where you cut out the natural angle, the 1 railer, and that's going to add a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, I'm going to try and cut off the rail here too. I'm really trying to be as precise as I can with this 2 ball because I want the cue ball to go forward so it blocks any kick from the bottom rail and that the 4 ball stays there so there's no kick off the side rail. I want the 2 to come up from there. So it was very intentional. I just was a little bit unfortunate that there's a window. I think there is. There's a tiny, tiny window.
So jeopardy over.
Yeah, there goes my 3 foul attempt.
Yeah, I just heave a huge sigh of relief, and it's so palpable when you get that chance to hit the ball. Because if I'd have been on 2 fouls, and I wouldn't have fancied it. We're having some sort of a debate here. Oh, that's right. I'd actually touched the 8 ball.
Oh, that's right.
And I was saying to you that I played a different shot to the one I was originally going to play because I thought the cue ball would come within a ball's width of the 8.
That's right.
And had it done so, that would have been a ball in hand foul. Even though you said carry on.
Yeah.
That the rule is, that we're playing BCA rules here, if you disturb a ball, that there's a 7-inch diameter circle based on the center of where the moved ball was, and if any moving ball passes through that circle, it's a ball in hand foul. So that's why I have to be extra careful not to look at this. Got me in it again.
Trying not to leave your jump shot.
Yeah, this is tough.
Mike is very proficient with the short cue, so a lot of my safeties have to be pretty tight to an object ball. So that's which is kind of great to know offhand, being as familiar as I am of your game and you as an opponent. I really then focus a lot of my safety player defensive play to be tight. Like I try not to be so careless about it because I know I've seen you jump and do jump banks, jump kicks.
I had a couple of good nights jumping. I think there was one in particular that we're thinking of.
The Wayne Crow match, I commentated that one, and we were just in awe.
There's a lot of confidence involved. I mean, if you can make one good jump shot and make a pot, it gives you such a lift.
Yeah,
it really does. And a lot of jumping is confidence. But what I've done a few times, if I've identified the same common natural error, which I have, which is lifting the bridge hand up, lifting the head up, maybe even doing a little hop. And when I've had this in the focus of my mind before the match, so okay, the very first jump shot, just make sure everything is bolted down.
Mm-hmm.
And strike that ball, don't move, stay dead still.
Yeah.
If you can get one good shot early on, that can open the floodgates, and then you're going to be full of confidence. And you can then almost start doing that thing automatically. But you're always a bit, or at least I'm a bit tentative until I get that first one. You can see that wide here.
So that puts Mike back again on a 1 foul.
But you've got a chance here to go for the 3 fouls yet again.
And This is a little bit of a better position here because at least the 2's close to the 3. I don't have to do anything super fancy with the cue ball here. I obviously need to get to the other side of the table to pocket the 4. The 5's also in a very difficult position from here. So there's a lot of things, you know, kind of making me super hesitant about getting through this rack. So I just needed to make sure that I made this 2 and get a good angle on the 3 to come across for the 4. And I think this is a fair enough angle off of this shot. This shot's definitely not difficult at all. It's natural angle to come across for the 4 on the right-hand side. But again, it's that 9 crowding over the 5, which is also, you know, in the back of my head as well too.
It's just plain ball, center ball, is it? Like a
little bit below center.
Ooh, just rattled and stayed over.
Yeah, you know, and that it will be a running theme throughout the night is getting ball in hand and kind of missing the second ball out is to me that's one of the worst feelings because I just feel like I know it's a difficult rack because, you know, the position or the rest of the rack would have been tough, but at least make the 3, you know, because I was right there over the 4. I can figure out the 5 once I get there. You play a great shot here. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, I was just concerned if I tried to go directly at it that the side pocket was in play. So I thought, well, I'll just try and get up, and I've actually gone a bit flat. I wanted more of an angle, so I certainly didn't want to be going to the right. Is that the 8 ball up there?
Yes.
Yeah, I want it to be to the left of the 8. But I've had a look, and there is a gap. If you can just like almost stop shot this in, you can get past the 9 and cut the 5 in, and the cue ball will come 2 rails and back to the middle of the table. And as long as I stay below the middle pockets, the 6 goes in the bottom right. So you just don't want to hit it too hard that you go all the way back up to the top half of the table, because then you're only going to have maybe a cross corner bank, or you might even be hooked. So this is, it's just, I'm playing really to just miss the 9 here.
Yes. On both ways, coming in and coming out. It's weird. It feels like I'm watching this match for the first time. I could feel the tension, just because of where the scoreline is at, just what it means to both players.
Crucial. I mean, I've got my back against the wall. I really don't want to lose this first set.
Yeah.
I know how important it is to get the first on the board.
But you got a great position. You got a good shot at the 6 to just come across. That was a very confident stroke. You lost the cue ball a little bit, but
once again, it's my tangent line, and it's something I obviously need to work on. And it's in each case, the cue ball's coming down the table more than I would like, and I'm expecting to get more of a stunny type reaction, but I'm getting the cue ball's going forward more.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost like a hardwired thing, because I'm used to playing like the snooker balls with smaller weight, less weight. That kind of natural just stroke shot is going to be more of a stunny type hit, but the heavier ball wants to roll forward, and you've got to do something about it.
That is such a very astute point, because that's very much akin to playing snooker for a long time, right? To hit that stun where that cue ball just kind of not dies, but keeps the line.
Yeah, you sort of don't need to put too much backspin on it.
No.
Because it's a lighter ball, but here I think I'm going to go for this in the top left. But tough. The way I've left myself is a bit horrible. But I think I get a jelly roll right here. That's a big jelly roll, because if it's going to finish on the 10, first of all, it can give you like a combo for the set. If it doesn't finish on the 10, you're going to have a long shot.
Yeah.
So kind of for it to finish right there was super lucky. So I got the billiard god stepping in. Keep me alive.
I mishit this pretty bad. I should have hit that a lot thinner, or I should have done anything but that.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, you've not sold out. I mean, it's available for sure in the top pocket, and it's one that I will go for.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the percentage out of 10 would be. I mean, it's not a gimme.
It's a pretty high percentage because you get natural angle on the 8, no matter where you end up here.
Yeah, but I don't hit that good. And once again, that it seems to almost be drifting back to the left.
to the
Do you
left
see
a
that?
little bit.
It's
yeah.
done that twice. And when I played the other slow shot going up to hit the 8,
Yeah.
that drifted to the left. So I think there may be a little slight roll on this table.
Spoiler alert, I should have played the safety here.
Oh,
Getting
you-
the
you
7
got-
on the long rail.
You're going for the carom to knock the 10 in?
Yeah, so, which
Yeah. Wasn't a high percentage, was it?
not at all, and it,
High tariff. I mean, if you get it, you win the set. But if you miss it, this is a sellout, right?
yeah, and the thing is, I was at a point where, honestly, I was just feeling like, I just want to end the set. I'm already ahead for the first time in this match. Let me just, like, end this set.
Rushed it a bit.
I did.
Rushed
I really did. Like, my brain wasn't exactly where it was
You should have
at.
been more patient.
I should have been more patient. I looked at it and I saw it. And I was like,
You saw the winning line.
ravenous. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very ravenous seeing that there was a quote unquote carom there. When looking back at this angle, there was not really a carom there. So, it that just is a part of the ebb and flow of a match when it comes to momentum. Like, I should have played the safety and understood that Mike was still struggling going through some of these racks. So
Absolutely. Open the door for me to
I
take
did.
it hill.
I love these shots. You're going high left. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that shot.
Yeah. Just no corner pocket. You just got to watch your speed, but I love letting your stroke out there.
And so, come this far, after 10 racks, it's all square.
It is. This was our longest set of the night, right?
Yeah,
like
I think it lasts for 90 minutes. It's 11 racks. So what is that? It's an average of 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. 88 minutes would be 8 minutes per rack. So there was a couple of quicker ones, but there was a couple of long, slower ones as well. So I make a ball,
very important.
and guess what? The one's dressed up. So this is straightforward, isn't it? I mean, well, you'd say that. The only thing is, it's a little thinner than you would like.
Correct.
So you can't really hold it. I'm thinking if I could just baby it, get the one to just drop, I can stay above the 6 and I'll have the 2 in the same pocket. If I can't hold it, there is a tiny window. If you let the cue ball run on, you could get it between the 10 and the 6. But
Yeah.
that's such a narrow window that you should never really play for that.
No.
So, in hindsight, with the benefit of hindsight, there's other shots that are available. I mean, maybe I could put backspin on this and try and draw and try and get it that way.
Yeah, let your stroke out.
Yeah, let the stroke out, or even try and let the cue ball come all the way down and use the 10 ball as a stopper.
I can see that from here now.
So, maybe if I just played it, or play, if you don't think you're going to hit it, play with a bit of top. The cue ball will loop a little bit, will bend out to the left, and then come back to the right, so it can find the gap between the 7-10 and come all the way back up the table. But what do I do?
In between. Not in between, but you just happen to fall right in that area where the 6 is at.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And so it's a squandered opportunity.
do you think a defensive shot would have been...
No, I think definitely to play the 1. It was such a golden opportunity, but what I should have perhaps done was entertain other options and maybe played a little bit more ambitiously.
Yeah.
Either to go for that bump cannon
Yeah.
or to go for the gap.
Make a little bit of a mess of it all and just...
Yeah, I mean, I would have needed a little bit. Once you're running into balls, you need a bit of luck.
Yeah.
But you
Better than this position right
yeah,
here.
you're creating a situation where good things can happen.
Yes.
And the 1 was eminently makeable. I don't know if you guys can hear I've got a dog and a cat. The cat is called Dan Dan, and he's 20 years old. He was living with us in London. He lived in San Francisco. He lived in New York.
No.
He's actually had all of his teeth removed because he's 20, and he's gone stone deaf.
Oh.
But he's living a great life, and he comes up to us every now and then, and he meows loudly. He's asking for some of his poached chicken breast, which is all he eats.
Look at me going for this 210.
210.
Again, salivating at the opportunity of ending the set, but also this is just desperation. I'm going to be very transparent with you. This is just...
It's not easy, this. And
I hate combinations.
Especially the distance between the 10 in the pocket That was tough. Don't get me wrong, I was very relieved to see it stopping. And in fact, I think this is a combo bank.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
It's almost
Yeah.
a natural. If I can hit the 2, I'm just trying to pick a point on the side rail that if I were to drive the 2 directly at that point, it should hit the 10 at the correct position to bank it.
You know, I was sitting in my chair when you were lining this shot up, and I was just telling myself, if I lose here, that it's 100% my fault, because I went for an off 210 off of a ball in hand. So, you know, it's one of those things where you sit there and you're kind of like, I deserve this. I deserve this kind of torture.
Yeah, I mean, you need a bit of luck with these. They're never easy. And that was probably a ball's width above the pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't even anything where you still would have been down for the 3. Like, you know, there's so many things that could go right with that shot, and I'm still not in a good headspace of running out. I haven't even run out, I think, much since the beginning of the set. So
this is not an easy run out chance either. With the
5 on the left side,
that 5 is in a horrible spot
because the 4 is kind of there in front of the 6. I try to go create something where I'm below that 3, because I don't think I had an opportunity to come up for that 4 at all. Or that 4 may not go past the 6.
Just a thin snick here. It's a nice shot. Maximum separation. 3's dead safe.
Yeah, I learned that from the last time we played, that I need to get much more.
Yeah.
I couldn't just settle on just being near the side pocket. I needed to get that cue ball
distance,
all the way down.
All the way down the table, that's right.
If you saw Moth-like moments, you saw our 10-ball exchange where...
Yeah, there's a little battle, and I got the upper hand on that occasion, but that was a much better safety. And I catch
this was a good attempt here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good cue ball, but unfortunately, I did catch too much of the 3, so it came all the way up table with me. And the good cue balls kind of saved me a little bit, because it's by no means an easy shot.
Yeah, and just to give a little bit of context, when you're 5-5 and both players are hill, you know, this last rack is momentous. So a lot of your focus and attention are on these last set of balls.
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, the guy who wins it, all their mistakes, all their errors are all forgotten.
Doesn't matter what happened earlier in that set, you're all...
The guy who loses this is kind of all that effort. 90 minutes of effort.
Yes.
An hour and a half of slog. All their good shots, all of their stuff. Talk about good shots. Look at that gap.
I was, when they went through the gap, I sat there and I was like, oh my God.
There's luck involved. There is luck involved. But right now, I'm feeling pretty good.
I feel like you smell blood in the water.
Well,
like,
yeah. I mean, I've definitely had a little adrenaline hit when I see the cue ball going the perfect line that I've played.
Yeah.
And I've just ever so slightly decelled it yet again. But I see this shot, and I see a little cinch where I can do a 2-way. I fancy potting the 5, and I'll be on the 6. But if I miss it, I think I can stay behind the 9. So I'm really cinching it. I've got quite a short bridge there.
Yeah.
And just a little touch draw.
That's a nice shot. That's when I thought, oh, there's the rack.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I should go on and win here, because I've had the momentum. I've got that great positional shot where you find the gap that you never could find. I made a wonderful 5 down the rail, and this is the one where you normally mess it up.
This was a good shot too.
And I've actually got a perfect angle here.
Perfect angle. Yeah, Mike here with a great opportunity to close out this rack. He's been having a nice run up until this point. So, how are you feeling, Mike?
Well, to be honest, I think I've got it in the bag.
Yeah.
But all I've got to do is combat nerves and put a good stroke on it. Oh dear.
Bit of an overcut there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I just rushed that final delivery.
Yeah.
The pressure of the moment maybe got to me. I should have maybe took a bit more time. But here we go. presented you with the chance. Now, can you hold yourself together?
Yeah, I mean, this was my opportunity. You know, there's an open shot. It's difficult, but I just want to make sure that I make the most of this opportunity while I have it. Feel the tension.
Well, what a beautiful shot. And I must say, my chair, I'm fearing the worst here as you're walking around.
Yeah, that was the big shot for me.
Also went straight in the heart of the pocket, and I fancy you to make this. I think you've got yourself together. You've got your focus. You've got your head on. And as that goes in, I turn to you and say, Mike, that's good. You don't need to make this 10. I concede. And there he is. There's the winner.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, well played. That's Michael won that one 6-5. And what we're going to do is show you the next couple of sets from this match as separate premieres. So please stay tuned. And I just want to say thanks very much, Mike, for coming along and recording this analysis track.
No, of course, Holty. Thank you for having me on the channel. And, it was a great matchup. And I hope you guys stay tuned for the next two. Oops. Next couple sets.
Next couple of sets.
You'll see it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Bye-bye.